Welcome to Biography with Plutarch, where we delve into the lives of remarkable individuals, exploring their triumphs and tribulations and uncovering the essence of their character. Today, we embark on a fascinating journey through the life of William Clark, the renowned American explorer, cartographer, and statesman. Born on August 1, 1770, in Caroline County, Virginia, William Clark entered a world marked by the tumultuous stirrings of revolution. The air was alive with the whispers of liberty and the drumbeats of war, as the American colonies struggled to break free from British rule. His family, descended from Scottish and English stock, had established themselves as respectable planters, with his father, John Clark, serving as a lieutenant in the Virginia militia during the French and Indian War. This ancestral legacy would later influence William's own military pursuits and sense of adventure, as he sought to follow in the footsteps of his illustrious ancestors. As a child, William grew up surrounded by the rolling hills, dense forests, and winding rivers of the Virginia countryside. The landscape was dotted with tobacco fields, the green leaves stretching towards the horizon like a sea of emeralds. His early years were spent on the family plantation, where he developed a deep appreciation for the natural world and an affinity for the outdoors. He would often spend hours exploring the woods, chasing after rabbits and climbing trees, his curiosity and sense of wonder sparked by the beauty and mystery of the natural world. The Clark family was known for their strong values, emphasizing education, hard work, and civic duty, principles that would shape William's character and inform his future endeavors. William's childhood was also marked by a series of significant events that would have a lasting impact on his life. In 1784, when he was just 14 years old, his family relocated to Louisville, Kentucky, a burgeoning frontier town perched on the banks of the Ohio River. The move was a bold venture, driven by the promise of new land and fresh opportunities. As they traveled west, William caught glimpses of the vast expanse of the American wilderness, its untamed beauty and unforgiving power leaving an indelible mark on his young mind. This exposure to the rugged realities of life on the American frontier, where settlers and Native American tribes coexisted in an often precarious balance of power, would later serve him well in his dealings with indigenous peoples during his epic expeditions. Under the guidance of his father and older brother Jonathan, William received a practical education, learning surveying, cartography, and basic mathematics. These skills, combined with his natural curiosity and aptitude for exploration, laid the foundation for his future successes as a navigator and mapmaker. He spent hours poring over maps, studying the lay of the land, and practicing his drafting skills, his fingers moving deftly as he brought the contours of the wilderness to life on paper. The influence of his family and community can be seen in the strong sense of responsibility and duty that William developed during these formative years, as he learned to balance his desire for adventure with the demands of civic duty and personal obligation. As he entered his late teens, William's interests began to shift toward military service, inspired by the stories of his father's wartime experiences and the heroic exploits of George Rogers Clark, his older brother. He would often listen in awe as his father recounted tales of battle and bravery, his imagination sparked by the thrill of adventure and the call to duty. In 1789, at the age of 19, William joined the Virginia militia, marking the beginning of a distinguished military career that would eventually lead him to become a key figure in the Lewis and Clark expedition. The decision was not taken lightly, as William weighed his desire for service against the risks and uncertainties of military life. Yet, he felt an insatiable call to action, a sense of purpose that drove him to take up arms and defend his country. The historical context of William's early years was marked by significant events that shaped his character and future path. The American Revolution had recently concluded, and the young nation was expanding its territory through the Louisiana Purchase. The spirit of exploration and discovery was palpable, with many Americans eager to push beyond the Appalachian Mountains and into the uncharted territories of the western frontier. The air was alive with the promise of possibility as the United States began to assert its claim to the continent. As William came of age, he found himself at the forefront of this great experiment, his life intersecting with the grand narrative of American history. His experiences as a young man, though seemingly ordinary at the time, would ultimately contribute to his remarkable achievements as an explorer, soldier, and statesman. The intersection of his personal character and public actions would have far-reaching consequences, not only for himself, but also for the development of the American nation. As William Clark's military career progressed, he found himself increasingly drawn to the world of exploration and cartography, like a sailor beckoned by the siren's call. In 1796, he joined the Indian Wars under General Anthony Wayne, where he distinguished himself in battle and honed his skills as a mapmaker, carefully etching the contours of the land onto parchment. The experience would later serve him well in his dealings with Native American tribes during the Lewis and Clark expedition, allowing him to navigate the complex web of alliances and rivalries that crisscrossed the Western territories like a master weaver. It was during this period that Clark began to develop a deep understanding of the Western territories, studying the lay of the land with the intensity of a scholar poring over an ancient text, and learning about the various indigenous peoples who inhabited the region, their stories, traditions, and customs. As he delved deeper into the world of exploration, Clark's fascination with cartography only grew stronger. He spent countless hours poring over maps, charting the courses of rivers, and noting the locations of mountains and valleys. His skills as a mapmaker became renowned, and his charts were sought after by military leaders and explorers alike. The experience would later prove invaluable during the Lewis and Clark expedition, as he carefully charted their route, documenting the geography of the region with precision and accuracy. In 1803, Clark's life took a dramatic turn when he received a letter from his old friend, Meriwether Lewis, inviting him to join an expedition to explore the western territories of the United States. The expedition, commissioned by President Thomas Jefferson, aimed to map the newly acquired Louisiana Territory and find a water route to the Pacific Ocean, a quest that had captivated the imagination of explorers for centuries. Clark accepted the invitation without hesitation, and the two men set about making preparations for their epic journey, gathering supplies, recruiting crew members, and studying the latest maps and charts. As they prepared to embark on their journey, Clark's mind was filled with visions of the unknown territories that lay before them. He spent hours poring over maps, talking to trappers and traders who had ventured into the region, and reading accounts of earlier explorers. His fascination with the Native American tribes they would encounter only grew stronger, and he began to study their languages, customs, and traditions, recognizing the crucial role they would play in the success of the expedition. On May 14, 1804, the Lewis and Clark expedition set out from St. Louis, Missouri, with a party of 33 people, including Clark, Lewis, and a crew of soldiers, interpreters, and boatmen. The air was alive with excitement as they pushed off from the shore and began their journey up the Missouri River, the sound of the water lapping against the hull of their keelboat providing a soothing background melody. Over the next 2 years, they would travel over 7,000 miles, mapping the terrain, collecting scientific data, and encountering numerous Native American tribes along the way. Clark's skills as a cartographer and mapmaker proved invaluable to the expedition, as he carefully charted their route, documenting the geography of the region with precision and accuracy. One of the most significant events of the expedition occurred on November 7, 1805, when the party reached the mouth of the Columbia River, marking the first time that European Americans had seen the Pacific Ocean from the western side of the continent. As he wrote in his journal, "Ocean in view. Oh, the joy!" the words barely capturing the depth of emotion that swelled within him. Throughout the expedition, Clark formed close relationships with many of the Native American leaders they encountered, including Sacagawea, the Shoshone woman who played a crucial role in facilitating their interactions with the various tribes. His ability to communicate and negotiate with these leaders helped to ensure the success of the expedition and paved the way for future exploration and settlement of the Western territories. Clark's empathy and understanding of Native American culture allowed him to build bridges between two worlds, forging alliances that would endure long after the expedition had ended. The Lewis and Clark expedition returned to St. Louis on September 23, 1806, after 2 years and 4 months of travel, their arrival marking a triumphant conclusion to an epic journey. The journey had been arduous, with its share of challenges and hardships, but the discoveries they made and the data they collected would go on to shape the course of American history. Clark's contributions to the expedition were immeasurable, and his legacy as a cartographer, explorer, and leader would endure for generations to come. In the years following the expedition, Clark went on to play a significant role in the development of the Western Territories, serving as the Brigadier General of the Louisiana Territory and later as the Superintendent of Indian Affairs. He continued to work tirelessly to promote the interests of the United States in the region, while also advocating for the rights and welfare of the Native American tribes he'd encountered during his travels. Clark's commitment to the well-being of these tribes was unwavering, and he worked to ensure that their voices were heard in the halls of power, their stories and traditions preserved for posterity. As the years passed, William Clark continued to play a vital role in the development of the Western Territories, serving as the governor of the Missouri Territory from 1813 to 1821. During this time, he worked tirelessly to promote the interests of the United States in the region, while also advocating for the rights and welfare of the Native American tribes he'd encountered during his travels with Meriwether Lewis. The vast expanse of the western wilderness, with its rolling hills, sparkling rivers, and majestic mountain ranges, had left an indelible mark on Clark's heart, and he was determined to ensure that the region's native inhabitants were treated with dignity and respect. As governor, Clark's days were filled with a mix of administrative tasks, diplomatic meetings, and exploratory expeditions. He would often spend hours poring over maps and reports, seeking to understand the complex web of tribal alliances and rivalries that crisscrossed the region. He also made it a point to visit Native American villages, where he would engage in lively discussions with tribal leaders, learning about their customs, traditions, and concerns. Clark's commitment to the well-being of these tribes was unwavering, and he worked to ensure that their voices were heard in the halls of power, from the territorial capital in St. Louis to the federal government in Washington, D.C. In 1822, Clark was appointed as the Superintendent of Indian Affairs, a position that allowed him to continue his work with Native American tribes on an even broader scale. He spent many years in this role, traveling extensively throughout the Western Territories, from the Great Plains to the Rocky Mountains, and working to establish peaceful relationships between the United States government and the various tribes. Clark's efforts were not without challenge, however, and he often found himself at odds with government officials who did not share his vision for the region. Some saw the Native American tribes as obstacles to progress, or as inferior peoples to be assimilated or displaced. Clark, on the other hand, believed that the tribes had a vital role to play in the development of the Western Territories and that their rights and interests must be respected. One notable example of Clark's dedication to Native American welfare was his advocacy for the rights of the Osage Nation. In the early 1820s, the Osage had been forcibly removed from their ancestral lands in present-day Missouri and were struggling to adapt to their new surroundings. Clark worked tirelessly to secure better treatment for the Osage, including access to education, healthcare, and economic opportunities. He also helped to facilitate dialogue between the Osage and other tribes, promoting a sense of unity and cooperation that would serve as a bulwark against the challenges of colonization. Despite these challenges, Clark remained dedicated to his work, and his contributions to the development of the Western Territories are still celebrated today. As he once wrote, "The object of my journey was to explore the Missouri River and to find a passage to the Pacific Ocean. I had also the honor of being entrusted with the command of a party whose duty it was to make observations on the natural history of the country and to collect specimens of its productions." These words capture the essence of Clark's spirit, a man driven by a sense of wonder and discovery, who saw the Western wilderness as a realm of endless possibility and promise. In his later years, Clark's health began to decline, and he suffered from a series of illnesses that left him weakened. Despite this, he continued to work, albeit at a slower pace, and remained committed to his duties as Superintendent of Indian Affairs. His family and friends marveled at his resilience, and the way he seemed to draw strength from his memories of the Western wilderness. On September 1, 1838, William Clark passed away at the age of 68, surrounded by loved ones and the artifacts of a lifetime of exploration and discovery. Today, Clark is remembered as one of the most important figures in American history, a man whose contributions to the development of the Western territories are immeasurable. His legacy extends far beyond his own lifetime, and his work continues to influence our modern world. We see in Clark a man who embodied the spirit of exploration and discovery that has always defined America, from the earliest days of colonial settlement to the present day. We see in him a reflection of our own aspirations and ideals, and a reminder that even the most ordinary-seeming individuals can achieve extraordinary things through hard work, dedication, and a willingness to take risks. That's all for today's biography with Plutarch. Remember to like, share, and subscribe. And until next time, remember that understanding the lives of remarkable individuals helps us better understand ourselves.